Iraq's prime minister addressing the crisis ripping his country apart, warning that the declaration by ISIS militants that they're creating an Islamic state in Iraq and Syria is a threat to the entire region, as Russia and Iran join the fight to bolster the government in Baghdad. Meanwhile, the first session of parliament came and went with no political solution. And now President Obama has added an estimated 750 U.S. troops on the ground there in Iraq to protect the U.S. embassy in Baghdad and support the Iraqi military. But now we're also hearing about them protecting the international airport there. Is this turning into mission creep? What is the president's best way forward in this very complicated crisis? Let's ask Rick Grenell, former spokesman for 4 U.S. ambassadors to the UN and a Fox News contributor. Great to see you today.
Good to see you.
No easy outs, no easy solutions in this situation. Where does the administration go? I mean, we're slowly adding small levels of troops, but it sounds like they have very specific missions.
Yeah, I think we are seeing mission creep. We've gone from 300 to now 800 plus. We've gone from the president promising that this is just to protect U.S. personnel or U.S. citizens inside Iraq to now not only, as you said, protecting the airport, which is not ours, but it's also now we're bringing in helicopters and drones and other military equipment. This is really becoming mission creep. Now, look, it's a very serious situation. I just want the president and the White House to be honest with us. What is the plan? If there's no plan and if it is going to be a small mission creep every time we have some drama, he needs to come out and say, I'm going to try to keep it low, but I'm going to respond to the drama. Instead, he's told us from the beginning, we're going to withdraw troops. I don't want anyone else there, and this is temporary, and it doesn't seem to be the case.
What do you make of the position of Nouri al-Maliki now? Because there have been many calls for him to step down. That seems to be growing. There's been a lot of criticism for him for not being inclusive so that everyone there feels like they have a voice in this government. And it sounds like if that's the case, that it's backfiring on him. But now he's talking about, you know, ISIS is a threat to the entire region. Outside of Iraq, you should be worried too. And he's also started talking about amnesty for some of these folks. If you got swept up in this, to the different Sunnis saying, come forward, we'll work something out. I mean, do you think this conciliatory tone is too little too late? It
is probably too little too late. One of the things about Maliki that we need to remember is that the Iranians want him to stay. So we should want him to go. We have a very real strategic interest in this region when you think about Iran. If this becomes a caliphate state, if this becomes a larger problem, what it means is that Iran is having more influence. And that should be what we're constantly looking at. Is Iran taking advantage of this situation? We've got the talks going on in Vienna that start today on the P5+1 nuclear issue. And I think that what we're going to see is Iran absolutely try to bring in the Iraq violence and what they can do to help into these discussions, and we should not allow that.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about that because, again, there's been bipartisan suggestion and opposition, some strange bedfellows there, which, you know, politics always tends to breed, but some saying absolutely in this case, meaning Iraq, we've got an interest that's worth lining up with Iran. But as far as everything else that we deal with Iran, it's not in our interest to be lined up with them.
Yeah, the one thing that you have to remember is that Iran is the sole #1 position for the state sponsor of terrorism. They give funding, they protect, allow the terrorists to really have a haven under their guard. Now, if they are literally the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, we know that they're going to be playing some sort of role inside Iraq. Why would we let them inflame violence in Iraq, only then to bring them to the table in Vienna to say, can you calm it down? And by the way, then we'll give you a chip for doing so. It's a really bad strategy for us. We should keep the discussions separate, and we should absolutely demand that Iran come clean and take all of their nuclear programs, get rid of them, and take them out of the country. UN inspectors are not going to work, and that's one of the things that I think that we have to watch to see if the administration caves on.
And in the meantime, several months have passed, and that nuclear program has continued. So we'll keep an eye on Vienna. Rick, thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you.